Strowman just, oh my gosh. Braun Strowman, when he just, basically choked out Big Show and tossed him over the top rope by himself, that just made me think this guy is going to really be a force to be reckoned with. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with him. But then business really picked up at number, I believe it was 18, was when Kevin Owens came in and he eliminated AJ Styles. Of course, massive heat, but I couldn't pick a better person to actually have that kind of heat than AJ Styles. I mean, Kevin Owens, I should say. Because everybody knows that once you're eliminating AJ, you're basically going to get nuclear heat. But for Kevin Owens, it just made sense for him to do that. And then followed up after Kevin Owens was Dean Ambrose. They had their last man standing deal, and they sold their injuries just amazingly. It was just awesome just seeing how these guys were just like, yeah, we're still hurting from this last man standing match, and we're still going to compete in the Rumble. But then when number 20 came out, oh my gosh, we hear the oh song, and Sami Zayn comes out, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, this is step one of the prediction that I wanted to see. So, seeing this coming out and having Sami Zayn eliminate Kevin Owens, that just blew my mind. It was just amazing just seeing Sami in the Rumble and seeing that elimination, getting a little bit of retribution on Kevin Owens. But hopefully we'll see more in the near future. Maybe a WrestleMania match between the two. I think that's the perfect spot to have it. Soon Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar would enter into the Rumble, and an interesting deal happened between the two of them. Brock Lesnar eliminated every other person of the Wyatt family except for Bray Wyatt. Lesnar was going to hit Bray with F5, but then all four members of the Wyatt family came in and beat down Lesnar and eliminated him. And people are talking about technicalities. Elimination is elimination. I mean, it is what it is. It's not one of those things that I'd be proud of, but it's one of those things where it's just like, it happens. I mean, they're trying to build a storyline between Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar. The only way that's going to work is if it's an elimination-style match between the members of the Wyatt family and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, where Brock, takes out Harper, takes out Rowan, and then, conquers Braun Strowman and then loses to Bray Wyatt. Because really, it helps Bray Wyatt finally get a victory on the biggest stage of them all. And Brock Lesnar, for him, it's just like it took 4 guys to take down Brock Lesnar. So he's still going to look like a beast no matter what. But like I said, this is probably the year for Brock to start helping, get superstars a little more of a push than what they are at right now. But it all went down to the number 30 spot, which was, surprise, surprise, time to play the game. Mwahaha. I am Triple H. I am the King of Kings, and la-di-da-da-da. Comes out, and everybody knew then what was going to end up happening, and it eventually did. But a couple moments that happened here was one-upsmanship between Triple H and Roman Reigns, as well as a stare-off between Bray Wyatt and Triple H. Take my damn money. I want to see this matchup between Triple H and the Wyatt family. I think, the Authority versus the Wyatts would be very interesting, to say the least, but I think it would be one of those things that I would honestly love to see. Because, again, Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family could use the victories after all the times that they got, quote-unquote, buried, but also they can use that for momentum to really get their careers up. So we got that, and it ended up being the Final Four being Sheamus, Roman Reigns, Triple H, and Dean Ambrose. Sheamus gets eliminated by Reigns, Triple H eliminates Roman, and then we see Triple H eliminate Dean Ambrose. Triple H becomes the 14-time champion, creating massive heat for himself and becoming somehow... And people are always complaining, like, oh, it wouldn't have been Dean Ambrose because he's already got a title. That doesn't matter. I mean, for me, having a man holding 2 titles doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. I mean, for God's sakes, Jay Lethal held on to the championship, he held on to the TV title and the world title, and he did phenomenal. He had 2 great matches in one night, and he still kept doing it for at least, I think, 2-3 months at least before losing the TV title. But, again, it was just awesome just to see that, and they're making it seem like, oh, we can't copy that because we can't risk having people get, hurt and stuff like that. Come on. give them a little bit of more credit than that. Some of these guys can handle 2-3 matches in one night. I mean, Triple H can do it. I'm sure a lot of other people can do it. It makes the most sense to me. But yeah, Rumble ends with that, and they also had a weird moment where Roman Reigns didn't get eliminated earlier in the matchup, but he got beat down by the League of Nations, and you could tell right off the bat he was just going to come back in and, just get involved in the Final Four or whatever. So that comes with a Rumble. This was actually one of the better Rumbles that I thought happened in the last few years. I mean, despite the fact of the ending, the matches there were actually pretty good. Compared to last year, better. Compared to 2 years before, a little bit better. So, going into Monday Night Raw, big high expectations, and they actually had a high viewership this past week of, I believe, 4 million viewers on the first hour, and I think a little bit on the last hour was what I believe it was. And many were wanting to see what was going on, but we get the same thing over and over again. Can we please just start having more matches to kick off Monday Night Raw instead of these 20-minute authority segments? It's just really dumb, because it also ended up with them saying, like, oh, we're going to announce the main event for Fastlane, and the winner of that match goes to see Triple H and face off against him for the title at WrestleMania. Gee, I wonder who that could be. But mainly, the main two things that I wanted to talk about were the segment that involved The Rock, because he had some great segments where he dissed The Miz, dissed Big Show, dissed Lana, the classic line of the Wisconsin wheelbarrow and the one, it's like, what was it, like half-legged Russian vacuum, something like that. It was just one of those things that I thought were amazing. And then he talks about, WrestleMania, New Day comes out and basically saying, oh, well, you say you're the people's champion, but we're the only one with gold, so ha-ha to you. And Rock's just basically giving them their props, and he basically says, well, you'd be upset too if you had giant llama penises on your forehead. And it's really funny, because the fact of the matter is that Rock can get away with saying llama penises, no problem, because he's a big star. But when Brad Maddox says cocky pricks, he gets fired for it, basically. So, basically, WWE superstars, take note. If you really want to get away with saying anything, all you have to do is make big money and impress everybody, and you will somehow be able to get away with everything. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the matchup between AJ Styles and Chris Jericho. Dream matchup. Great matchup, despite the fact that people saying, oh, there was a couple botches, it was a little sloppy. Doesn't matter. It's still AJ versus Jericho, and people there were still chanting, AJ, this is awesome, stuff like that, because they loved to see the matchup. And you got to see classic Jericho, you got to see classic AJ. You didn't get to see the style clash, sadly, but that wasn't until last night when we saw it against Curtis Axel. But AJ is winning, having a good winning streak, and it seems like he's going to start a program with Kevin Owens since he got eliminated from him. But I don't know, this past week they haven't really showed much in the way of signs other than that elimination. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They announced the main event for Fastlane, which was going to be a triple threat match between Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Brock Lesnar. I honestly knew that Dean and Roman were probably going to face off against each other, but adding Brock into the mix is going to make this matchup so much more interesting, because I know that we know which way it's going to go. But the fact of the matter is that they add Brock Lesnar into the equation, it's still going to be very interesting. I mean, are we going to see like two German suplexes on two superstars, or are we going to see, Brock hit it like a super belly to belly or super German or something like that? I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, because honestly, this is the first time we get to see Dean and Brock in a matchup together, and I want to see where this goes. I want to see what happens with this match. I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on. That's going to be really it for the Monday Night Raw deal. Going to take a quick short break, but I got to do a quick short plug for my guys at ajsbelts.com, because if you're looking for replica belts at a very good price, you got to check out ajsbelts.com. And if you tell them this exclusive deal is only here on Pro Talk Wrestling, if you go to purchase their wide variety of Ring of Honor belts, they have the Classic World title, they have the Current World title, they have the Tag Team titles, and they have the Television title. If you go to purchase one of their belts and at the checkout process, you mention to them that you listen to Pro Talk Wrestling with Nate the Great, you will receive $50 back on your purchase. So you're basically getting $50 off on this championship belt. So guys, this is only available until Monday at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Check it out. Go to ajsbelts.com again. And before you check out your Ring of Honor Championship belt, make sure that you mention that you listen to this podcast because you will receive $50 back. So check it out, guys. It is awesome, and you will not regret it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me here on Pro Talk Wrestling here on Spreaker.com. It has been a very interesting week for the world of professional wrestling, including TNA, because they had the return of the Feast or Fired matchup this past week. Now, I don't have too much of a problem with the Feast or Fired matchup. The thing about it was that a lot of the firings that they had, the people just end up coming back. That's my only issue with the Feast or Fired deal. But I think with two separate occasions, which involved Sheikh Abdul Bashir, also known as Davari, as well as Chavo Guerrero, they're the only two people that have actually gotten fired and have not returned back to TNA. Other than that, Christopher Daniels has come back. Velvet Sky came back. Trying to remember if anything else. Most likely the one who got fired this week will probably come back. But talk about it a little bit. The recipients of the briefcases were Grado, Eli Drake, James Storm, and Drew Galloway. And those moments had Eli Drake get a King of the Mountain championship matchup, but I will talk a little bit more about why that championship is redundant and dumb at another time. But James Storm received the tag team championship shot, and then Drew Galloway received the world heavyweight title shot, which means that Grado was fired from TNA. Sorry, Grado. Best of luck in your future endeavors. Nobody will forget your matchup between you and Rockstar Spud. I certainly did not. So from there, going to close it up with the talk of 2015, some of the positives that they did this year, and some of the things that they are going to probably more than improve on this year alone. But let's talk about some of the positives. In this year alone, last year I should say, we've seen a big time evolution in the tag team division. We've seen more championship fatal 4-way matches. We've seen a little bit more activity with the titles. We've seen the titles go to from the Usos to Cesaro and Tyson Kidd to the New Day to the Primetime Players back to the New Day, and we've seen a lot of interesting teams come in. We've seen the Ascension come in. We've seen the Lucha Dragons come in. We've seen so many different teams teaming up, and honestly, it's going to only be a matter of time before they call up people like Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, American Alpha, I should say, Enzo and Cass, before they call up people like They might even call it Blake and Murphy for all we know, but I highly doubt it. So that is one of the improvements that they've had. They've